If you're watching this, you probably own a contracting or home service business. And most of the content I make on this channel is about marketing and processes. But in this video, I'm gonna go over the 6 things that you can add or implement into your sales process that will immediately increase your close rate. And I'm not talking about some Andy Elliott objection overcomes. I'm not talking about some Grant Cardone feel felt founding people. I'm talking about things you can implement in your process that if you actually do it, will close you more jobs. So let's start. Before we begin, my name is Steve Hunsaker. I'm the founder of the Home Service Accelerator, and I also own or have owned 3 different home service businesses in my lifetime. I currently own 2. One is a lighting business that does temporary seasonal lighting. We do about $800,000 in a 2-month period. And the other one is a permanent lighting business. And then historically, I owned a junk removal company as well. I've since gotten rid of that one. So I know a thing or two about home services and home service marketing and sales because I'm actively still in them. And I've also hired and implemented a bunch of employees and managers to take myself out of the day-to-day and grow the business to the state it is now. So let's begin. The first thing I want to talk about, we talk about sales and increasing your close rate, is the number one thing you need to do is focus on your speed to quote. A lot of people talk about speed to lead, and that's the first piece of the equation. I'm not lighting the world on fire talking about speed to lead to you. The structure here on speed to lead is the second that prospect, that inbound call, form fill out, message you on Instagram, whatever it is, the second that person reaches out to you, how much time passes between when they get an answer? But the most important part for close rate actually is not speed to lead. It will certainly help your close rate, but it's actually speed to quote. And so the way I'm going to go through this video is I'm going to talk to you about what to do, and then I'm going to give you the actual implementable solution for how to fix that thing in your business. And so for this, if we're talking about speed to lead and speed to quote, when I'm talking about speed to quote, it's when the customer gets pre-qualified on the phone, meaning you've told them your process, you've told them what you're doing, they've said, yep, that's what I'm looking for, I want to quote. And now your process could be quoting remotely or it could be quoting in person. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on. But the solution to getting this speed to quote faster is you have to have a system that actually implements this. And when I say implements this, I mean, how do we make it as fast as humanly possible? And how do we make our follow-up inevitable? And so the solution to that is any form of speed to lead CRM. The one that I use and most of the people in Home Service Accelerator use is Snipey Lead. Snipey Lead is a home service white label that's built on Go High Level. And its one job is to increase your speed to lead and increase your lead to booked quote ratio. Because if you look at your business as a whole, it's like you have one big funnel of leads, right? And as the leads go through the sales process, they funnel out. And so from the top of the funnel, it's like everybody who sees your brand on the internet or out in person, whatever else. Then closer down the funnel, it's like people who took action, filled out a quote, got asked for an estimate, called, whatever else. Further down, it's people who have been told what your minimum is, people that have been pre-qualified on the phone, all that jazz. And so the funnel gets more narrow as you go throughout the sales process. But the idea is how can we increase and improve our processes so that more people get further down into the sales funnel, thus leading to more sales. And so the easiest way to do it is have a system that actually allows you to get these leads through the process higher. And one of the things Snipey Lead does that's so great is, let's say somebody submits a form on your website or they submit a form on your Facebook ad. The second they click submit, your phone and your company rings, it either goes to your receptionist or it goes to your salesperson or you, whoever you have set up, and you answer the phone, and then the robot says, you have a new lead, press 2 to get connected. You press 2, it instantly calls that lead. If that lead answers, you book the estimate in person, you pre-qualify them, you do everything else. If they don't answer, then it drops them a voicemail and then puts them in like a 5 SMS follow-up sequence until they respond. But here's where it gets good. The second that somebody responds, you have like a pipeline in Snipey Lead. And Snipey Lead, it's like you have inbound quotes. The second they respond, it's hot inbound leads, meaning they've responded or called back. You need to go deal with that. Like those opportunities take priority first. And then it goes through your sales process. In-person quote sent, in-person quote done, quote pending approval, sale, lost sale. And so while you have this pipeline, you also have an amazing tool that shows you your live close rate. So all of the stats you need. And so if you want to see how to increase your close rate better, be faster to getting them a quote in hand, because every minute that goes on that you haven't given them a quote, someone else has a chance, your competitors or everyone else, to give them a quote that's probably going to be cheaper because they're terrible entrepreneurs. The second thing you can do to massively increase your close rate, it is called the alien test. I coined this myself. I think it's a pretty good analogy. What the alien test is when you give an estimate, whether it's remote or in person, and you draw up an estimate for your services. We want the estimate to pass the alien test. What is the alien test, Steve? The alien test is simply if an alien came to Earth for the first time and they were walking down the street and they got a paper copy of your quote that you sent through Jobber, House Call Pro, whatever else, and they had no context about the conversation you had on the phone, they have no context on what you talked to the customer about in person. When they take a look at that quote or estimate, are they able to see without any context exactly what is being quoted and all of the options on there? And so what happens with a lot of people is they go out and they have a really good conversation with the wife, or they go out and they have a really good conversation with the husband, or they have a phone call with one of the spouses, not the other one. And they try to close them on the phone a lot, but a lot of the time they don't do it. And so what happens is they're like, oh yeah, I had this conversation with Tina, and now she's like, yeah, let me talk to my husband, send me the quote. And so you send the quote based on the conversation you had with Tina, and then Tina's gonna go show it to her husband, let's call him Jim, and then in that moment, she has to be your sales rep. And those prospects that you just talked to in person or on the phone will retain maybe 10 to 15% of the total conversation you had with them. And they'll probably play a game of telephone where they'll get a lot of stuff wrong. And so if you're not giving a quote with clear detail, then what happens is Tina is responsible for being your sales rep and she has no idea what you're talking about. And so she can relay bad information to the husband. And then what can happen a lot of time is they look at your quote and then they look at 2 or 3 other quotes and then they go, ah, well, you know, this one's a little bit more expensive. And you don't really stand out in the detail of the quote because the customer's not really seeing the difference because you didn't put a lot of detail in it and pass the alien test. And so the solution to making the alien test more clear is whatever CRM you use, whether it's Jobber, House Call Pro, Service Titan, anything like that, I highly recommend paying for the version of it that you can attach photos to the quotes and also have mockups. And so what happens is when our customers get quotes, it's so crystal clear what each line item in the quote is. We even do it down to the individual tree. So like tree number 1, here's a photo of tree number 1. Tree number 2, here's a photo of tree number 2. Tree number 3, here's a photo of tree number 3. And we send them out all blank with all optional line items and we let the customer choose. And what this does is it gives the customer illusion of choice and shopping. And so a lot of people will push back on this. A lot of like boomer landscape design guys will push back on this because a lot of them say, oh, it's all about good, better, best. But in 2025 and 2026 and beyond, like good, better, best is kind of an archaic sales process because what other process of the way these people shop are they buying packages? Almost never. Amazon, they're filling the cart. Home Depot, they're filling the cart. When they go to the restaurant, they're a la carte the entire way. Like, no one is selling them packages like this. And if they do, it's pigeonholing them and it's making it confusing. And so a lot of you guys will say, well, my average ticket will go down if I itemize everything out. We've seen the opposite. What we've seen is the people who used to be like, oh, just give me the roof line, but then we would throw in like an additional set of bushes, trees, whatever else. We take a lot of those minimum jobs, and because we give them a bunch of optional add-on items, which we'll talk about a little bit later on, the average ticket on the baseline lower volume jobs actually went up. And then the people who wanted to just do the Taj Mahal, do everything, they were already going to check the whole boxes anyway. So you might as well just do it that way because the people who are going to just yeet the whole thing in are going to do it anyway. And so the solution here is you get super detailed on your estimates and you make templates in your CRM and you make it so that if you're sitting there at your house and your girlfriend's next to you, your wife's next to you, or your husband or your boyfriend's next to you, or your partner of any sort, you should be able to just take your quote, slide it over to them on an iPad, slide them over a piece of paper, and they should be able to tell you exactly what you're quoting. If they read your quote and they go like, oh, what does this mean? You're already cooked. Trust me. So the more detail and the more idiot proof you make your quotes, the way better things are going to go. The third sales hack to increase your close rate. And now this is going to be a little bit of soul searching for you. And I don't want you to just immediately discount me. Hear me out. Are you selling remote or in person? And did you start doing that because one of your competitors was doing it that way early on and you just assumed that that's the way you should do it? So let me give you some context. I own a temporary lighting business. I go speak at 4 or 5 conferences in the off season every year. You guys have seen them on YouTube, everywhere else. The vast majority of Christmas light businesses say that in-person quoting is a waste of time and dead. and they say it's all about remote, and they're so passionate about why remote's better and all of this jazz. And I waltz in and have a 2 to 3 times higher average ticket than just about everybody I meet on the residential temporary Christmas light installation business. I'm talking about even the guys in my own market. And so I go, hey, I wonder what I'm doing differently in my process that all of you aren't doing that makes it so I have a 2 to 3 times higher average ticket than all of you. And even then, these people will still be like, oh, it doesn't make sense. And I go, yeah, it doesn't make sense if you're selling an average ticket of $1,000. It makes a lot of sense when my average ticket is $3,800, which is what it was last year. Because when we go in person, we're able to sell on value, we're able to draw out a lot more pain, we're able to design things a lot more structured. And so what I noticed in the Christmas light industry, and this is true across a bunch of different home service industries, this was even true in junk removal, is there was a bunch of people who quoted remotely because someone else told them they should quote remotely, and that was the efficient way. The more efficient thing for a business is having higher average tickets. Like that is more efficient in most of your guys' cases and will bring more money to your bottom line, your net profit, than being like a little bit more agile with remote quoting. Because what happens with remote quoting is a lot of time you just become a number on a screen. And so my solution for this is look at yourself in the eyes, in the mirror, and ask yourself, did you build your process to be a remote quoting business because you saw a competitor early on doing it? Or did you build your process in the business because you think it's the best idea while you haven't actually even tested the other process? I'm not saying you have to do this in your process forever. I'm saying just try it for 2.5 weeks. Try it for a month. See what happens if you're going in person at every single estimate and you have the opportunity to upsell them on all of your different services on every single estimate in person and sell them on the dream, which this will lead me to my next point, which is number 4, and this will actually help you get your average ticket a lot higher. And number 4, do you have an upsell sequence? And more importantly, do you have a script that is followed at every single quote and sales process that upsells your ancillary services to the customers? So I don't care what you do. I don't care if you're a Christmas light guy, a window cleaning guy, a pressure washer, a hardscape guy, a plumber, an HVAC guy, whatever it is. Every one of your businesses has something that you can sell them in addition to. Maybe it's a service plan, maybe it's a quarterly plan, maybe it's a better product if you're HVAC, maybe it's a better whatever. Every business has upsell opportunities. And so what I find as I've audited at the time of filming this, we've had 500 something home service businesses come through Home Service Accelerator. I've seen the processes and scripts of a lot of home service businesses. What I find across the board is that most people are only upselling when it happens naturally and they don't build it into their process. And so what I mean by that is like the most applicable example for me is what I noticed with a lot of Christmas light businesses when I talk to them all over the country is when they renew customers, they just send them the quote from last year and they're like, okay, I hope you come back. And then they just renew them. What we do is every time we go to renew them, we get their commitment to renewing first, and then we mock up additions on every single returner. And we tell them because now we know that like, okay, they trust us enough to come back for year 2. They've seen how good of work we do. They're probably going to be very open to doing more stuff and making the display even better. We don't have a 100% retention rate. We don't even have an 80% retention rate on jobs because people move, people leave us, we're too expensive, everything else. Not like I'm not going to pretend we're like flawless there. But what we do so well is we get bigger average tickets from a lot of our returners every year by upselling that. And so we turn $2,000 jobs in year 1 into $8,000 jobs. We had a $12,000 job for a professional athlete that turned into a $26,000 job in year 2 because we commit to upselling it every single time. Not just when the prospects ask you. We commit to scripting it and upselling every single opportunity. And that happens also during the sales process. A lot of people submit on our website an ad saying all they want to do is the roof line. And we're like, fantastic. But we're still going to have a script and process that also says like, oh, these trees would look good. These bushes would look good. Do you mind if I just mock it up for you, just show you? And then what happens is like, yes, you're not going to get every single job to say yes. But what happens is when you do that every single time, you're going to close a lot more people on upsells and extra services than if you just do it when they ask. And so it always comes down to just the phrase, if you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no. And that applies to a lot of different things in life. But in here, if you don't ask for the sale and then ask for the upsell, The answer is always going to be no. And so just like doing the A-frame at every single job, just like doing your gift card campaigns at every single job, just like doing all these other processes, the upsell script and your solution here is freaking make one. Make an upsell script and commit to doing it on every single book job. Because trust me, when a customer says, yes, I want service A, and then they're also presented with service B that's a fraction of the cost more, but maybe has like a lot more wow factor. If they're already anchored in at say $1,000, and then you can upsell them a $300 product or a $400 product and sell them on the dream, what that does for your bottom line is massive. Go back and watch the video where I talk about net margin and gross margin, and talk about the difference between when you get your average ticket higher and each one of your visits is worth a lot more, what that does for your bottom line when you eventually have more crews and people to pay and mouths to feed and all that. You're going to want to have a much higher average ticket on whatever your service is for that reason. Because every time you fire up the truck and show up to a different customer and talk to a different family and do all that, it's really expensive. That's number 4. If you don't have an upsell sequence, build it. And number 5, and I'm telling you, of the 6 things I'm talking about in this video, this is probably the easiest thing to implement. And if you do it, you can either automate it with your CRM or Snipey Lead or anything else, or you can just do it manually depending on the size of your business. But you need to commit to the fact that the sale starts well before the estimate gets in the person's hand. And so what I mean by that is, how are you doing things during your quoting and selling process and your appointment booking process that actually makes the customer go, you know, that company's pretty buttoned up. Like, ooh, they were pretty on top of it. They're a little bit different, and you stick out to them both emotionally and like the analytical mind as well. And so the solution here and what you want to do to kind of build this wow factor for your customers is we call it the greatest hits. And what I mean by the greatest hits is during some portion of your sales process, before they get the actual estimate, that customer needs to get some photos or literature of some of your best looking job photos, reviews, everything else. So I'm going to put it here on the screen. When our customers get our quotes in Jobber, they're getting attached to all of the quotes, because I pay for like the premium one or whatever, they're getting 10 photos that all convey our value across the board. They get a photo of the team, like a team photo. So it's like, oh, these are the humans showing up. They get a smiling photo of the guys installing. They get a bunch of our best looking photos of our jobs attached to their quote. But on top of that, my sales team have a shared folder on their iPads that all of my organization that does sales or installs have. And it's like the Valley Christmas and Valley Premier Lighting greatest hit photos. And what we do is a lot of the time when they're on the way to the prospect and the prospect is like, oh yeah, I want to get my trees wrapped up front, or I have some palms over here, or I have a roof line over here. What we do is we send them photos of previous jobs that we've done that are doing the dream scenario that the customer is looking for. And so if Tina Smith wants to get her palms by her outside pool wrapped, I've got a photo that's super sexy of palms that we have done outside of her pool. And so it's a beautiful thing, because what happens is then she's like, oh, that's the guy who sent me these nice photos. That's exactly what I'm looking for. And then all of your competitors who aren't doing that, it's just that slight edge you have. And so it's all about photos and high converting literature early in the sales process, not just when you give the quote, but you can also do it when you give the quote as well. And for number 6, I'm going to talk about this until I'm blue in the face. I am the ads guy. I know that. I love cold traffic. I love the fact that you can just give Mark Zuckerberg some dollars, pay for his 400-foot mega yacht, and in return you can get customers. I love cold traffic. I love ads. I love all of it. But I love referrals more, because what happens with referrals and word of mouth jobs is those will close at a substantially higher rate. When you close at a higher rate on quotes given to quotes closed, when you have a higher close rate, everything else in your business works better. Your closers and salespeople get better commissions. Your average ticket typically raises with word of mouth and referrals, because they trust you more, because they've already seen your work at the neighbors, or the neighbors have told you, or their friends have told you how great you are. And so when we talk about this entire video is about increasing close rate, nothing will increase your close rate more than getting a bunch of referrals. And so the solution, even though I didn't even write it down, the solution to getting more referrals is 2 things. And if you take anything from this video, I want you to take this. If you do good work, that is step 1. You do good work and then you ask for referrals. And you ask for referrals in a lot of different ways. You can do the gift card campaign. You can do the automated gift card campaign via text message. You can do just a simple text message automation asking if they have friends that would like your services. You can do all sorts of different programs where you give them steakhouse gift cards for this, whatever. But the point of this is, and if you see the trend in this video, the companies that win, my company included, this last year we had 55% of our business came from word of mouth or organic. That means that 45% came from paid ads. So of our new business, 55% of it came for free. Zero ad cost associated to it. That is a really good and healthy spot for a business to be. And that number has gotten better every year. And so what I want to make really clear to you is if you do not ask for referrals, and yes, it is a little bit uncomfortable to do this with every customer because customers have different personalities and temperaments. It's easy to ask the 70-year-old grandma who comes out and brings you donuts and cookies for your crew for a referral because she's being really nice to you and thinks you're great, whatever else. It's a little bit more uncomfortable to ask like the gruff boomer guy who beats you up on price and isn't very warm and friendly when you're out there. But if you just systemize it and you systemize that it doesn't matter who I'm doing work for, I want referrals from everybody because I know what happens to my bottom line, you will win. And so asking for referrals, the solution here is systemize it. Step one is do actual work that will get you referrals. And then step two is actually ask for the referrals. And so the best example I can give you is we have a customer, her name is Cheryl, and she's in Scottsdale, Arizona. Cheryl has been a customer of ours for 3 years. This is a wonderful example of what marketing, brand omnipresence in your market, and then a good referral program can do to bring you more jobs. And so Cheryl got a job done. She's worked with us for 3 years. Her neighbor across the street saw our Facebook ad, and then she went outside and saw our yard sign in the front. Was like, gosh, I keep seeing that company everywhere. She goes and asks Cheryl, what's the deal with these guys? She then looks up our Instagram, sees one of her friends, another mom in the area, follows us and goes, oh, I really like her. She's legit. Her family's really nice. She follows them. This company seems legit. She reaches out. Sales guy goes out on Friday, closes it same day. This is what I'm talking about, is Cheryl was incentivized to actually sell us hard to her because Cheryl gets a steakhouse gift card every time that she refers her neighbors to us. So then this new customer had seen us on internet marketing. She'd seen our signs in the front yard, and then she'd also got word of mouth from Cheryl. That's a laydown. Like, there's no sale involved there. She was already booked, signed, sealed, and delivered before anyone even came out because there was so much social proof along the way getting her across the finish line. And this is what I'm talking about. We systemize all of this because the more you systemize all of these different processes, the better all of them work together. The yard signs work better when our ads are scaled to spending $350, $400 a day. Our ads work better when we also have a really solid Google business page because our Google business page ranks really high. And so our ads convert better because they Google us and find us quickly. And it's just this big, massive revolving cycle. And so I don't say these things for my health and just like to make a good YouTube video. I say these things because I've done them all in my business and my businesses continue to grow. And I don't think that's coincidence because the success of my businesses year over year in a seasonal business and the success of all of the Home Service Accelerator businesses in the program are pretty tangible and crystal clear at this point. I don't have to convince you anymore. You can watch these YouTube videos, you can watch the interviews on these YouTube videos, you can look at my Instagram and see a bunch of different testimonials of people that have done the exact same things I'm talking about here, and they've worked. And so if you want to keep watching these YouTube videos for free, please, all I ask for you to do is if you found any value in this video at all, please comment and just tell me what you liked because this is free and I get the game. I love that you guys watch it. Subscribe, comment, tell me what you like, tell me what type of content you want to see more, and then also follow me on Instagram and X. There's a lot of other content on there that I put out pretty consistently. But if you want to join the Home Service Accelerator, where at the time of filming this, there's 500 something home service and contracting businesses in there, where we help you set up your own Facebook ad campaigns without agencies. We dial in your Google Maps SEO, get you a bunch of organic calls there. And then we build a bunch of other different processes and systems alongside with you. And then you also get access to a community with 500 plus home service businesses that all paid to get in. So what happens is the quality of those entrepreneurs is much higher than you would in just like a free group somewhere. So there's an application in the comments and in the description. Fill out that application. If you're eligible to join, we'll tell you, and then we'll book a call with you and bring you in the program. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, comment what you like, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.